everybody. Welcome to another episode of Connect with KB. It is so great to have you tuning in with us as we talk about business and education and leadership and all the wonderful things that connect us to each other. My guest today is coming back to Connect with KB. She first joined me in July of 2019 when the podcast was only 4 months old. I am so happy to have her back in studio. She is a great friend and a great leader, and I want to welcome to the podcast Lisa Corless, who is the president and CEO of AF Group. Lisa, good to have you with me.
Thank you. It is good to be here.
You know, we're going to do this episode a little bit different, and I generally have people come on, they tell me their story. You have been here before, and you've told me your story, and you and I recently had breakfast together, and we were just chatting about life in general. And, you know, as we are entering into the holidays and coming to the end of 2021, which I think still has been, you know, a great year, but a tough year for a lot of people, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the conversation that you and I had about meeting people where they are and showing a little grace to people. And I think that we're living in a day and age right now where we need to show a little kindness to each other, and it's getting harder and harder. And we see things that are happening around us, and it's a challenge. And I wanted to spend a little time talking to you about that. I know that this is a place that you really like and that you're proud of, and you really kind of thrive in this environment. So I want to talk a little bit about, just talk to me a little bit about where meeting people where they are means to you. And I'm going to have you pull that mic just a little bit closer to you.
Okay. Is that good?
You betcha.
Okay. So yeah, and I had such a great time talking to you at breakfast, and you know, our conversations always get really deep and really real, you know, and that's what I love about it. You know, when I think about showing people grace and meeting them where they are, something that I have to always remind myself, but I think it's a good reminder, is we're all just doing the best we can. And, you know, I think about people who may have hurt me in the past, or, you know, that I didn't like something that they did. For every one person I can think of, you know, there are probably 10 where I haven't showed up like they wanted me to. But I'm trying my best. I'm doing the best that I can. And I need to remember to extend that to everyone. You know, people don't set out to hurt each other. People don't set out to, you know, not show up. And I think that, you know, the last 2 years, 20 and 21, have been so difficult for everyone. And maybe the way people are showing up is a little bit different than it was before, because it's all they can do. And just remembering intent, you know, think about intent, and just imagine that the intent is always good.
How are you?
How am I? You know, today, I'm really good. Yeah. Today I'm good because I'm here with you. It's nice and cold. You know, I had a brisk walk over here. But, you know, it varies day by day. You know, I long for what we had in 2019, and it's not coming back anytime soon. And so, you know, I just have to remember that I need to be present. I need to enjoy every moment. I need to be grateful for what I have. But today I am good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty well. Thank you. We had an opportunity to talk a little bit offline, and I always love this kind of year, this time of year. I get very reflective on what's important, and you know, to enjoy your family at this time of year. I enjoy them all year long, but there's something about the holidays that really bring me back kind of into focus about what's important to me, and spending more time with them and quality time with them and being grateful. And, you know, you and I have talked about this before too. You know, I still have my parents, and they're both, you know, 89, and I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful for every day with them. And so I don't like to get myself going too far down the road. I don't like to look too far down the road. I'm trying to stay present too and keep myself in the moment about what's good right now and real. And my daughter called me the other day, and she mentioned that to me. She said, you know, I'm so grateful for what I have right now, and not thinking that it's going to get better, but that it's better right now. Yeah. And these are good times and good moments. And, you know, she too talked about having her grandparents here. So it's really good, and it's a good reflective time of year.
Well, I know you've talked about your mom and dad and what a blessing they are, but what great words of wisdom and what a great reminder. I think that sometimes it's easy to always be thinking about that next thing you have to do or that big thing that's coming up, and, enjoying the moment and enjoying the people you love. That is what it's all about.
Do you see that in your employees? Are they a little more gracious to each other, or are they talking to you at all about the struggles or challenges that they might be having, family-wise, work-wise, just kind of where we are with being in the workplace right now and what they're going through?
So yeah, a couple things come to mind. So I am so grateful for the teammates that we have because, they don't know it, but they keep me going.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate. We have a lot of essential workers that still come into the office, and I go into the office, a time or two a week, and I get to see them, and they do talk to me, and they're very open about, some of the struggles, about things that they like, things that they don't like. But I saw kind of a pivot in the conversation in 2020. So I have an employee council, and I have since I was put into this role. And, the council changes each year, but it's teammates that advise me, talk to me about what's going well, what's not going well, where we need to focus, what they need. And in 2020, for the first time ever, my employee council talked to me about mental health. Mm-hmm. And they said, we're not doing so good. And, you need to think about getting us resources and making things available to us that, maybe we're not thinking about because we're not doing so good. And, I loved that they were so vulnerable with me. And honestly, I wasn't doing so good, and it gave me kind of like it inspired me that, okay, get out of thinking about, how I'm not doing good and see what I can do to help others. So we did, we got members from our EAP to come to an all-employee meeting. We actually even did a guided meditation. I know that may sound crazy, but it was a hit. Just thinking about how they're doing and what they need. Yes, it's all of the normal things, but it's changed too,
Well, in many ways, I think that, as at many organizations, even without COVID, it is about trust. Yes. And, establishing trust with your team. And when you can take that next step and, kind of lean into vulnerability, boy, I tell you what, they will show up for you if they believe that you are on their side and that, you're honoring what their feelings are and where they are. That I think that they probably in so many ways work that much harder for you or are that much more productive because they feel that there's some commonality with everybody. And it really allows them to kind of let down a little bit that they have to have this facade that everything's okay.
I think you're absolutely right. We talk a lot about bringing your authentic self to work, and it's not that easy always. Sometimes people want to protect their authentic self because they don't trust or they're worried about making themselves vulnerable. But it's so important because the levels of depth a relationship can go to are just so magnified when you are vulnerable, when you are real, when you show that you're not perfect and you're doing the best you can.
Well, you joined me for a program this year through the Michigan Chamber of Commerce on leadership and finding your leadership style. And you were so dynamic, and it was so great to watch the chat box because so many people could relate to what you were talking about. And, the whole concept of, kind of leaning in and telling me more, you were great at that. I want to talk a little bit about what that is. But I think that people had an opportunity to see your leadership style being very authentic. that what you see is what you get, and that you're really a servant leader and you care about people. And I think that in this day and age where we are right now, that could not be more important about trying to understand people. And, I'm working at that every day too, is to just kind of take a step back and think to myself, what is this person really going through? Why are they maybe expressing themselves this way? Or, are they a little off kilter because something personal is going on? And I think you do a really nice job of that.
Well, thank you. And I have to say that panel was so much fun. The other leaders that you had on there, the moderator, they were so wonderful. I learned so much, and I learned from the people in the chat box. I was loving watching the conversation. It was really fun.
I think it allows, especially for young people, I think it gives them a license to really start thinking through the things that they might not be comfortable saying all the time, or that they need, they have to wait their turn. And in many ways you have to earn it. But I think it's for us at where we are in our careers to encourage people to be a little more engaged and to share and to talk and to offer up ideas and thoughts. And I think as leaders that we need to give them that space to do that.
Yeah. And I don't know if you were this way, but, I look back at my evolution as a leader, and, it wasn't always like this. For a very long time, I thought I had to be something other than what I was. I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think that, I had the presence that I should have. And so I spent parts in and out of my career being inauthentic. And those were the times that things did not click. And so, as a young leader coming up, you might look at someone else and think you should emulate them. You shouldn't. You should be you and learn the lesson earlier than I did.
Well, and I think that your team members will relate to you so much better when you are yourself. As a leader, you have to make some really tough decisions sometimes. But I think that teams want that kind of leadership. If they can understand the reasoning, they will buy in. Even if they sometimes don't agree, they will respect a decision maker and making decisions. And, I suspect that you've had to make some really tough ones in your day. And, that isn't easy. So how do you do that and continue to move forward?
So, yeah, I have had to make tough decisions, and I'm kind of a sensitive person, and so I never can fully separate my emotion about the tough decision with doing what I know the business needs. And just because you make a tough decision doesn't mean that you're somebody different. It doesn't mean that you're not empathetic. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It's just that you need to make the tough decisions. But yeah, I think about, tough decisions that, like the day before, the week before, I don't sleep, I can't eat, I feel sick. And then when it's over, where I've announced the decision or whatever, it doesn't go away immediately, because you're dealing with people, you're dealing with people's lives. And
well, you're absolutely right. It is tough. And, especially for women, I think having to step there, that is sometimes knowing the right thing to do, but it doesn't necessarily feel really comfortable. Yeah. And we have to live with that as people. How about the tell me more phrase and active listening, and how important that is right now? I think that we all need to sometimes, without jumping right in and offering up advice and solutions, to be there for people and just to listen to them.
So I'll tell this story again, and then like when I first heard it, it meant something different to me than when I put it in practice. So where it came from is I was brand new in a role, and and I had just recently gotten a promotion. You know, my prior peers were now reporting to me, and I didn't know what I was doing. And so I talked to my boss, who is also a mentor, and I said, people are coming to me, you know, they've got all these questions. I don't know what to do. I don't know the answers. And he said, I've got a little trick for you. And he put his hand up to his chin, and he said, when that happens, you just put your hand to your chin and you look at them and say, tell me more. And so when he told me about it, I thought, oh, okay, so it's a stalling technique. It's a technique where you can kind of figure out what you need to say. But when I actually put it into practice, what I realized is that, he was encouraging me to listen. And when I say, tell me more, oftentimes people that are bringing you a problem, they know what they need to do, or inherently they've got, ideas about how it can be solved. And sometimes they just need you to listen and to ask the right questions. So when I put it into practice, I think that, it went from, being afraid that I wouldn't have the right answer or decision to really trying to understand what the issue was and how could I help this person through questions, figure out what they needed to do.
You have a knack of being very empathetic, and the kind of person who probably thrives very much like I do on diverting the focus from yourself,
yes.
but to certainly feel compelled to help others all the time and to really understand them. And I think that that's a real gift that, we need empathy more than anything right now. And so you're really, really good at that. How did you really come about being that way? Is it just Lisa Corless' personality, or did you develop into this?
So I don't know. That's a tough question, and I'll pose it back to you too. I think that I've always been empathetic. I always feel things. I'll give you a dumb example. When I was a little kid, I couldn't watch TV shows where people embarrassed themselves because I was so upset about, how their embarrassment felt that I would get up and leave the room, or I couldn't watch it. And, I think through my time as a leader, it's evolved, and I don't know. It's tough. I think I'm inherently empathetic, but the more interaction I have, the more people who are vulnerable with me, I think the more empathetic I become. What about you? Because you're empathetic too.
I am. And I just think that, you and I've had these conversations about, after a while, it is not about me feeling, a sense of accomplishment for myself. It's me lifting up others and watching their growth.
Yes.
And, that is the thing in my career now that brings me great fulfillment, to watch this next generation of, especially young women, how are they going to embrace their leadership role? And, for us to have conversations about this, that we don't have it all figured out all the time, and that we too still are saying to ourselves sometimes, oh, geez, I don't know if I can do this. But, to say to yourself, and for us to say to others, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's you and I getting on here. When I first started, I thought to myself, I just don't know about doing this podcast thing. I mean, I feel like I can do it, but I even questioned that when I first sat down. And God bless Suzanne and Jeff Heward, who said to me, sit down, put the headset on, start talking in the mic, just be yourself, and it's all going to work itself out. And it did. And it's like you coming on with me again too. And, this is the kind of conversation that you and I have when we're having coffee and breakfast together, is about real talk. And I want us to continue to do this. I like the platform with Connect with KB. I love talking to people. I love learning their stories, but I think that there's a real space for us to continue to talk about some of the challenges and struggles that people are having, around emotional well-being. I will say this month in the 517 magazine with my good friend Tiffany Dowling, they've got a segment on matters of the mind, and the new stressors highlight importance of mental wellness in the workplace. And I just think it's a conversation that we need to keep having. And So I want you to come back with me in January and let's do this again. And maybe we'll invite a couple other people on and just have some real talk and do a Tell Me More segment or more Tell Me More segments.
I would love that. And always enjoy my time with you.
You bet. I want you to tell me, what are you grateful for?
I am grateful for my friends, my family, my teammates, and my health and the health of those that I love. How about you?
I am so grateful for those same things. My friends, my family. I'm grateful to be able to make a contribution in this world that I hope is productive and good. Mm-hmm. I'm grateful for your friendship, and this is going to be the start of something. We're going to have more segments with Lisa and Kristin. How's that sound?
That sounds awesome.
I want to thank my guest, Lisa Corless, the president and CEO of AF Group. I also want to thank my supporting sponsors, Marketing Resource Group, Downing Industries, Governmental Consultant Services, AF Group, AT&T, Mercantile Bank, the Michigan Chamber of Commerce, and the Fraser Law Firm. You can listen to all of my podcasts at connectwithkb.com. Until we connect again, go live your best life. You are loved, my friends. Take care.